Then you should be welcome to the 221st episode of Podcast Juventus Club Svezia. This time I have Jimmi Nordkroggaard Højberg. Welcome.
Thank you very much, and I'm happy to be here.
And you are, in my podcast, the fourth member of Juventus Denmark podcast then.
Yeah, well, we've been doing these podcasts for almost as long as I can remember. I have a girlfriend who's been enduring it for years and years, and she always says that that we're quite nerdy, but I just believe that we are committed.
Yeah. and I think it's a good mix of people. I talked to Morten, who have like the financial thing about Juventus and the Italian football. You have Andrew, who have a lot of knowledge about the club and such. I have Paul, who is a coach and a scout, and now I have the legal guy in front of me here in the podcast.
Yeah, well, I'm an attorney at law. My specialty is customs and customs regulations and international regulations and stuff like that. So I also have some when you're as passionate about Juventus as I am, you can't help to delve into the legal matters and learn what happens behind the curtains in the legal basis. So that's I'm a bit I'm a bit damaged by my occupation. So
exactly. But before we dive in the legal matters of the club of Juventus, I want to ask you why Juventus for you.
Why Juventus? Oh, well, I can actually tell you exactly why. During my time in school, I think in the it was probably in the sixth grade or something. Way back. Okay, no, I'm not that old, but way back, yeah. I used to have this buddy, and during school, if we had a class that was canceled or something like that, he lived pretty much nearby. So we went to his house, and then we played some FIFA, old school FIFA. Yeah. And I've always been a martial artist, so I didn't really know much about football. But then we started playing this, and I remember my first match was with Chelsea, because they had this player called Sola, whom I thought, oh my god, that's a pretty neat name, and he looks cool. So yeah, I'm gonna play with Chelsea. And then I got my ass handed to me, pretty much. Then I thought, okay, I'm gonna mix it up a bit. I'm gonna try a new team. And then I saw this while scrolling around the teams, and I saw this white and black shirt with zebra stripes, and I thought, okay, that looks pretty awesome. And okay, they have this guy. Okay, this guy is called Alessandro Del Piero. Oh my god, that sounds totally awesome. I'm gonna try this team, and then I won.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that kind of started something in me, and I began to show more interest, and I learned who Zidane was, Zinedine Zidane, and slowly I was getting more and more into football. So since that, it has been incurable love for and affection for the old lady.
And before we just dive in, as I said, in the legal matters, what do you say about this season under Allegri in the second spell in the club?
Oh yeah, let me put it like this. I'm currently sitting with a very good whiskey, and it's much needed after the ending of the season, because we started out like lightning on thunder. I was pretty stoked about the signing of Marginelli, our attacking coach. And it was pretty obvious that during preseason and also the first few matches there were something new brewing. However, after that heavy defeat against Sassuolo, it was clear and obvious that Allegri, is during his press conference, I think he said something about that we need to relearn how to suffer. And after that, it was old school Allegri ball again. And don't get me wrong, I love the man. He's actually one of my favorite coaches ever, next to Lippi. But I lost something for him during this season because I believe he let his fear rule his decisions, his fear of losing, instead of trying to focus on improving the team in a way that was much needed, especially due to the fact that we didn't have Paul Pogba or Nicola Fagioli. Yeah. So the team needed some more patterns, some blueprints that they could rely upon. And Maganelli seemed to have those tools, but after that defeat to Sassuolo, it was all downhill. And when Milik received that red card against Empoli, it was that was game over. Yeah. And the team didn't win these narrow victories any longer because the spirit wasn't there, and due to the lack of concepts, clear offensive concepts, the team suffered severely, and we all know how it ended. So I'm happy that Allegri went back to us and that he helped us during an extremely difficult time. Yeah. So all manner of respect in that regard, but I'm also happy to say goodbye to him, and there's the coming change. Well, it's much needed in my honest opinion. So let's just bury the past and look forward. Yeah. That's my take on this season. Let me put it like that.
And before we jump ahead to the potential processor in Thiago Motta, what do you say about the legal matters between Allegri and the club? It's 1 year left on the contract. Do you think they can find something to agree on?
Well, it's funny because just when that outburst happened, after that, I texted with the other podcast members, and I was like, oh my God, I think maybe this can end badly, because Allegri having a contract as a head coach in Juventus is a public company, and they're on the stock exchange and all that. So due to the fact that he's one of the public faces of the club, he can't act like that. He can't threaten people. So I believe him to have been some manner of violation of his contractual commitments. Yeah. And hence, due to that fact, I wrote to the guys, maybe Juventus will seek legal action against them because they actually have a good case. The matter is, though, that usually people tend not to, they prefer not to end up in court because courts are expensive. They are also very bad publicity. So I believe that they are trying to, find a common ground where Allegri maybe forfeits half of his outstanding commission, and then that will be the end of it. Yeah. But there actually is, I believe there's a strong case of if they wanted to go all the way in the courts, they would have a strong case to say that, well, you have been in vast violation of your contractual commitment, and you have to. We can actually cancel the contract due to these matters at hand. So I hope that it doesn't end up like that, because we have enough negative publicity during the last couple of years. So and I also believe that the current management are smart enough to know that, well, this is not what we need right now, but we also need to stand our ground at some point, because money, they do not exactly hang around the trees in Turin at the moment.
And what do you say about the potential procedure in Thiago Motta? Do you think he's the man who can make the ship go forward?
Actually, I have to admit that one of our people in the Danish forum, he posted Thiago Motta at some point. As well, could this be our future coach? And I was like, oh no, why not just hire Marco Materazzi? Oh my God, like, he's the former Inter guy, and all football, it consists so much of emotions and feelings, and that just triggered me. But then, I calmed down a bit, and under Andrew, he also told me, well, Jimmy, remember that Thiago Motta, he's actually not very fond of Inter, and they are they're in his bad standing at the moment because things didn't end very well. So having checked him out and really dived into his tactical approach, I gotta say that I'm pretty stoked about him. He's a formidable modern coach, but he's also an old school footballer. This well-balanced midfielder who not only possesses some natural leadership skills, but also a vast tactical natural intelligence. So I believe that he can put this Juventus to good use. And luckily, our former manager, if we have a former management, if we gotta give him some credit, our youth program, holy shit! Pardon my French. They have invested very, very well in the club's infrastructure, and Thiago Motta, well, he's very good at using the younger players, and he's gonna walk into the dressing room as a player who's won it all. And he's gonna demand respect, but I don't think that he's gonna demand it. I think it's gonna come naturally. He's got such a reputation, and I believe that he's what we need in order to create a more common thread, both due to the work of Giuntoli, where he's gonna buy players that matches the future concept, and Motta, he identifies as a man with a pure concept, but also being able to take the pragmatic approach when needed. I especially like his way of for example, I'm not going to talk too much, don't worry, but if we look at his tactical approach during the pressing phase, where he has to reclaim the ball. He has a clear tactical ideology, but he also interprets it from match to match regarding, who are we facing? How are they positioning themselves on the field? We're going to do the same thing as we always do, but we have to position ourselves not like the Cherby or Sarri who will say, well, we are going to do things like this no matter who we face, but Motta, he uses the same concept, but he just makes some small twists and turns, almost like Allegri does. Yeah. So I think he's going to be able to put some offensive concepts and some blueprints that we can really put to good use, because we haven't had that for years and years. But he's also not going to neglect the defensive phase of game. So I am looking very much forward to see what he brings to the table.
Yeah, a few things there. I remember Andrew told me too that Thiago Motta didn't end well in Inter, and we have Conte, we have Lippi, we have Trapattoni who coach both those teams, so it's no news for us. And when you're talking about the Thiago Motta he's not the same, because I heard from a lot of Juventino that Thiago Motta just a new Sarri. But as you said, Sarri is playing his football, even when it's completely a whole another opponent. Thiago Motta is more adjusting to the opponent, as Allegri did the first 5 years in the first spell. So it's not the same coach, not the same style as Sarri. So I don't think it's that much of a risk to take in Thiago Motta, but what he done in Bologna doesn't guarantee that he can do it in Juventus.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to give him some time.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of work to be done, but the fact that he's not a purist, it shows me that he's intelligent enough to be coaching a top club where he knows that. Well, we'll take Real Madrid, for example. Ancelotti, he also adapts, but he has clear concepts, but he adapts. So I believe that's what Motta he can bring to the table, is that that flexibility along with the clear concepts. I I can't remember the last time I've been so stoked and so hopeful. As now. So yeah, I'm a little kid looking forward to Christmas Eve. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the feeling, but I think we going into a summer. Let's see what Giuntoli can do. His first year in Juventus. We have a new coach in June, I think. Let's see what he can do with the team. We are back in the Champions League. We are in the Club World Cup. So let's see how many players we took in and sell. And let's see about the future of the club. But I think it's a restart with Giuntoli last year, and he's going to take his men from Napoli, Capri and such to Juventus now and restart the whole club. And then we see in the it's much talking about Chiellini coming back now in a role in the club. So let's see if we can get back the Lo Stilo Juve, the Juventus DNA in the club from the boardroom too. And let's see a bright future for the club again.
Yeah, well, Giorgio Chiellini, I think a guy of his stature is much needed, because if you look at the football clubs are like businesses, and also one thing that they have in common is that you need that organizational culture to it's important that it doesn't only happen on on the floor, that you have some Juventinos on the floor, because culture and direction and strategy, that starts from the above. You need to have the management, the board. You need someone up there to facilitate and create the culture, and it needs to go all the way down, all steps through the different hierarchies of the club. That needs to be Lo Stilo Juve. And bringing a guy in like Chiellini would be like the time when we hired Nedved to be that pendant between the management and the dressing room. And you can put a price on that. It's so important, because you have that translator, you have that mediator between the management and the dressing room, and that person needs to be someone who understands the culture, who has the DNA. You can ask AC Milan. They did the. I never forget the Galliani disaster, when I think maybe it took him 2 seasons to completely dismantle AC Milan.
Yeah.
And all the culture bearers, all these pillars of the club, they were completely removed, and you had no transition. You had no one to pick up the mantle. So all culture was lost through 2 years, and that was a disaster, and we cannot make the same mistake.
And if you go way back now, it's almost 20 years from the Calciopoli. We see Juventus degraded to Serie B and point deduction and such. Luciano Moggi, who was the sport of director, he was sentenced for this, but he get freed from, I think it's 3 instances after, but what you call the prescriptions time of the
statute of limitations.
Yeah, exactly. Is it different in Italy than in other parts of Europe, or what's your thoughts of that?
Well, I do not hope that I step on anyone's toes, but I think there is very much in Italy that is very different from other countries in the legal aspects. The whole Calciopoli situation, it was kind of a farce, in my opinion. Usually these kind of proceedings, like you have multiple clubs. Well, it was mostly Juve, but you have multiple clubs, and you're dealing with hundreds and hundreds of millions of euros. It's like a multi-million business, and then you conduct a series of investigations, and you conduct legal procedures during I don't know, a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then you make a sentence. That's completely unbelievably unheard of. Usually proceedings like that would take years in order to both manifest and also the execution of the entire the entire proceedings. It's almost comical. You have the people leading the investigation, who back then who were former Inter executives.
Yeah.
They were in charge of the investigation. You have like hundreds of thousands of phone calls disappearing overnight suddenly. So the chain of evidence also it's completely tainted. Also due to the fact that the the company delivering the evidence was the TIM phone company, which was actually one of the main sponsors of Inter. Well, I would say don't get me started, but you did. As an attorney of law, I have never ever in my years seen anything like that. It was completely crazy. And I know I'm wearing a black and white shirt right now. But if I'm ineligible to talk about this, well, fair enough. But then the both the investigation commission and the juries and the courts and everything, all that went down there, they were ineligible as FUCK. You cannot put someone like that in charge of investigations and legal proceedings when you have that sort of former occupational standing. There is a huge conflict of interest. And you can then also hear that, well, actually, the thing that they tried to convict you of back then with match fixing, well, that didn't even take. So, but later on, you actually figure out that doing some of these phone calls that mysteriously disappeared, well, they have reappeared, and you can hear Facchetti, actually the former Inter president, actually sitting there doing phone calls and, well, full-scale match fixing, trying to put pressure on the referee designator and stuff like that. It's like, yeah. But then statute of limitations, of course, you cannot convict Inter anymore, and fair enough. I just believe that there must be some kind of circumstances cancelling out the statute of limitations in these matters, and I believe that due to the fact that these historical readings concerning who actually won the championship and stuff like that, well, there shouldn't be a statute of limitations in that, because, well, that's something that you can actually fix, because you can see that, okay, the proceedings that we undertook back in the day, well, our convictions were clearly wrong. Well, you can't just make that that conclusion and then just do nothing.
No.
But then I gotta say, I'm a Danish attorney. I'm not an Italian. I'm not an Italian attorney, so I don't know all their systems, of course. But everything of this just screams to the heavens that there has been something else going on than behind the curtains. I can recommend anyone to take a look at Giuseppe. He has this Calciopoli for dummies, and he explains it all quite well, actually, in like 10 minutes or so. So that's a huge recommendation from here. Also, something that triggers me a bit is that, well, they completely dismantled this mighty Juventus team, which has had extremely vast economic consequences. But yeah, we're never gonna get the justice for that, I believe. So I think now they have said, well, okay, water under which we're gonna look forward, try to keep our eyes peeled forward, but it still hurts, and when you see how the legal proceedings in Italy are still going on today. Yeah, one of the key things that I always really took to the heart is that back then some of the evidence they used were like the articles from newspapers like the Gazzetta, and they used that as they stated that as evidence for like, okay, we have these articles in the Gazzetta explaining some of the matches, how they went and all that. You even had the prosecutor saying, well, I didn't really watch the games, but I could see the results, and you can see through the Gazzetta they wrote that the match were like this and this, so that, well, we can use that in our legal proceedings and in a chain of evidence. And today in Italy, if we're going to move a bit forward, I know that you also want to talk about the Plusvalenza and the settlement maneuver. Well, things haven't changed today. And I hope you're sitting down if you don't already know this. But during the Plusvalenza case, some of the main evidence they were using were based upon internet websites like Transfermarkt. Yeah. They were using that for validation of the players, and holy shit, you cannot do that. You might as well just use Wikipedia. Yeah. Also, if you need to look at the European law, I do not think that it's actually legal to try and regulate a player or product worth like that, because it's an unregulated area. They even said in the Plusvalenza case that Juventus have been violating the rules in an unregulated area. Like, what the hell? You can is this like hidden camera or something like that? So things are still, well, the same. You also had the case with Antonio Conte once at the time when he was the coach for Juve. He was also convicted due to a case of a reverse evidence-based trial, and that's like someone accused him of being guilty, and then it was Conte's and his defense's role to prove that he wasn't. And otherwise, well, he would be. It's not like innocent until proven otherwise. It was the reverse. It was like the reverse settings. And how the hell can you do that? You had like one criminal who was he was trying to get a plea bargain from the prosecutor back in the day. And he was stating that Antonio Conte, he knew about some kind of match fixing or something like that, and that was his that was his accusation, and he put forth that accusation so that he may maybe gain some lenience in his own convictions. But however, you had Antonio Conte saying, "I didn't know about that," and you had the entire team back in the day saying, "We do not believe that Antonio Conte knew about anything like that. We didn't know anything about that. You only have the word of a criminal during a plea bargaining session." Oh, okay, well then that's enough, says the Italian justice system and FIGC. Well, that's plenty. Conte is hereby convicted, and Juventus must do without their main coach. So what I'm trying to say here, that there is a clear pattern, and I gotta admit, it's getting a bit tiresome.
Yeah, and I think it was the same now with the salary maneuver and the Plusvalenza case. It was the prosecutor was a guy, an Inter fan, who was going to put down Juventus, as he said, and he's still the prosecutor in the case.
Yeah, but regarding the salary maneuver, that's actually one of the case where I believe that Juve did something that they were not supposed to do.
Exactly.
I believe that was clearly against the rules, and that was a huge misstep from our former management. Also because, sorry, how dumb are you? Because it's the salary. There are gonna be paper trails. Come on. First of all, it's stupid, and it's not proper. It's improper conduct, and that should be beneath us. But with Plusvalenza, well, I cannot overstate how comical that case was in so many regards. But the thing is that we just had the Super League incident, and Sefran, well, he was out for us. So I believe that the reason why we didn't take the Plusvalenza case all the way was because that the former management, they knew they had really made a huge mistake with the salary maneuvers, and they knew that UEFA was gonna put pressure on the Italian prosecutors in order to get a conviction, because Sefrin wanted to, and that's just my theory, of course, but Sefrin wanted to prove a point by saying, hey, you are still trying to push for the Super League. Okay, well, you stabbed me in the back. Okay, you are not gonna play one of our tournaments for next year. So I think there was a huge pressure on the Italian FIGC, but not that they needed it. I don't think they needed any excuse. But yeah. So I think that we're still suffering a bit in Juventus due to the fact that Italy may not have the best and most unbiased legal system. So, and that's I'm really trying to put it as diplomatic as I possibly can. But yeah, there are some times when I just, as an attorney of law, I'm just looking at the casework, and I believe, well, I don't know whether to laugh or cry.
Yeah, as you said, I said it in a lot of episodes. The salary maneuver was a wrongdoing from the boardroom, but the Plusvalenza, every big club or smaller club in the big leagues do the same thing. But the difference between Juventus and other teams in Serie A, they were wiretaps of directors of Juventus talking about it too, so they could prosecute them. But as you said, every club do the same thing. It's the buyer club and the selling club who is evaluating the players.
Yeah, and also it's against every kind of legal principle in all modern countries.
Yeah.
That you find some legal area, and you believed, okay, we need to rectify some of the rules here. Well, fair enough, but you can't punish someone before you have actually rectified the rules. So if you haven't got any regulation whatsoever, then you can't just make a prosecution like that and say, well, I'm sorry, guys. We don't really have any legal basis for convicting you, but we're gonna do it anyway because we want to. Yeah, okay, but that's just oh yeah, okay. But yeah, so yeah, I think the betting scandal when that one came up with Nicola Fagioli. Again, I was like, oh my God, they're out after us again, and oh my God. But that one actually, well, okay, that's it. One seemed to be fair enough, and good job by Fagioli owning up to it and really turning a new leaf. So I'm all for if someone in the legal system, if they really want to rectify things and put some spotlights on some areas that they think needs to be adjusted, then fair enough. but they need to do it to everyone else by the same rules, the same principles. You also see, if we are talking legal basis, you see the problem with Inter at the moment. Well, due to my knowledge, Inter shouldn't actually be allowed to put a team on the match as things are now. There has been a vast investigation made by some Juventinos with some financial background, and they made this vast report. I believe you've heard of it, probably.
Identità, yeah.
And I believe I think they sent it to ANSA or something like that. But the thing is that if Juventus, they took a vast loan and then took another loan in order to repay the loan, and then didn't actually repay the loan.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I know what would happen.
Yeah.
And right now, the most incredible noise in the world is that there is no noise at all about this. Yes, there's been some news about now Chang is no more. Okay, Oak Tree is going to take over. Fair enough. But oh my God, where the hell are the legal ramifications?
Yeah.
It's not enough that you as a club just we sell a player and then we buy a player and we are making sure that we are respecting the positives and negatives and the transactions like that. But no one there really talks about how much money Inter owns Suning.
Yeah.
Like what the hell? Why? Or is that just just like struck from the ledger? Okay, hey, this one is on us. No problem. Like I'm having really much trouble seeing where the lines are, because it seems that some lines for some clubs, well, I'm not gonna. Okay, I hope I'm not stepping on any toes, but one could argue that some of the financial settings of clubs like Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester City, maybe there are a bit rules there seems to be a bit obscure, to put it mildly. But I believe it to be the same case for Inter at the moment, and at the moment it's been so for a pretty long time, I think. And I do not hope that this sounds like that I don't sound like someone who needs a tissue, because we also need to be better on the field, no doubt.
Excellent.
However, it's still I believe it to be some unjust circumstances that some clubs have a carte blanche to do as they want, where others, you almost sense that they are like inventing cases against us. And when you have the legal education, as I do, it's like it just cringe. I just cringe so much, and I feel so badly for this beautiful country and this wonderful league that is the Serie A, because these tendencies, in my opinion, it's warping the joy and sucking out the objectivity of a league, and it's also taking away credibility. Who wants to watch a league where there is so much drama going on, and when it's so, especially when it's so, it seems so corrupted. So yeah, I sincerely hope that that Giuntoli, he can do a proper job of getting us back on the feet. And I also do believe, I do hope that the new management are gonna, take a new approach in defending ourselves. Because had I been the leader of our legal department, I wouldn't go so much on the defensive. When you have, for example, if you have like a situation where De Laurentiis, he goes out in the media, says, hey, Juventus, they're not allowed to play in the Club World Cup because blah, 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 blah. Boom, our lawyers, they need to be on mark. And when you have this crazy paparazzi, I don't recall his name, and I don't even want, even if I recall it, I don't want to mention it in here. He tries to undermine our club by saying that, Juventus are teaching with this and that, and they were aware of all the betting scandals and all that kind of shit. But our lawyers, they need to bury people like that. They need to get out there and defend the club. Why? Well, because we're on the stock market. Yeah, you can't just you can't just stay on the defensive and take the hit and take the hit and take the hit. No, you need to get out there and stay and be proactive. Otherwise, you're just gonna keep taking hits, and people are saying, well, okay, hey, it clearly has no ramifications at all. I can say whatever I want. I can post whatever article in the newspapers and the Gäst and whatever, and it has no ramifications, no consequences. Well, okay, then you are gonna be besmeared. Sorry. So I hope that our new leadership is also gonna put a different directions for our legal department.
Yeah, and talking about the point deduction from last season because of the salary case and the Plusvalenza, I talked to Interista, I talked to Milanista, and everybody was at the same page. It was managed poorly under the season. I remember the game against Empoli. 10 minutes before the game, we got the knowledge. The players just fell apart, and then the season we got 15 points after we got them back. We got 10. It was a messed up season, and the FIG and the CONI associations, they were a mess, and everyone is on the same page. Yes, the opponent supporters too.
Yeah, well, mentioning that particular episode makes me. I need to pour in more whiskey. So, yeah, yeah, that was again, like, how can you handle things like that when you are supposed to be a professional league? That's like, it's no coincidence that they come 10 minutes before the match. It's no coincidence. If you wanted to act professional, if ITC wanted to act like a professional federation, well, they had all the possibilities of doing so. And first of all, do not conduct these legal proceedings during the execution of the league. No. God damn it! It's just not proper legal proceedings. And do not tell the team 10 minutes before that, hey guys, by the way, this is gonna happen, so have a good match and goodbye. Exactly. Like no. So what I'm saying is that, well, it's by no means whatsoever. It's not random. It's not sloppy. No, it's premeditated. And that's what really grinds my gears.
Let's talk about, we got through the Calciopoli, the Calcioscommesse, we got the Plusvalenza and the salary maneuver. Let's talk about a little bit of football before we end this. Thank you. Yeah, on a greater note. Let's talk about the Calcio Mercato. What do you think Juventus is going to need? I see Fagioli, who's got back the two last games. I wrote somewhere that he has done more in these two games than Rabiot all over the season. We see the technical ability, the movement and such when he got in against Monza. You see he has a lot of football in him. What do you think we have to do on the Calcio Mercato in the summer to make Juventus play like Thiago Motta wants, if it's going to be Thiago Motta? Because we play with Allegri 3 seasons with the football he get the players used to. What do you think we have to do to make Thiago play his style of football in Juventus?
Well, I'm gonna be incredibly boring.
Yeah.
Because very much of the things that I'm gonna will put on the table here as well. That's already out there in the news. First of all, well, it's just thanks for everything, but goodbye.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to extend his contracts, and whilst he has been a very good keeper, he hasn't always been reliable, but you cannot question his maximum level. When he reaches his maximum level, he's one of the best keepers in the world. However, he's maybe not as good with his feet. The same thing can be said about Matteo Perin. Whom if we didn't want to invest in the keeper role this year, I would say sell Szczesny and give Perin the gloves and then invest some money in the midfield and the defense instead. Yep. However, it's no secret that Gregorior, he's very, 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 very close to joining us. Yeah. And I must say that's one hell of a bargain. Like 18 million plus 2 million in bonus for the best keeper in form-wise in Serie A, and he fits the bill because he is he's not very tall. Well, he's just as tall as me. He's 186 or something like that. Yeah. But he's fast and he looks a bit like Iker Casillas on in his line work, and whilst he may still lack a bit presence in the box, he is reliable and he's very good with his feet. So he's actually one of the few keepers on the market who fits the bill in Motta's conceptual approach. There is also Kanoseki, but due to the fact that Atalanta are doing so well, I think he's a more expensive option. Yeah. And I don't know if he's a better option, but I think Gregorior, he fits the bill and he's a bargain. Yeah. And he's only 26 as far as I remember. So that's one of the trades that's most likely is going to happen. Then we have Calafiori. Yeah. Yeah. He's so amazing, and the word on the street is that he wants to continue playing with Motta, and we really need that modern defender who's good and secure on the ball, who knows how to play. You know, I think Paul, he said it like he's gonna be like Bonucci prime. When we got Bonucci back in the day, he was one of the best liberos in the game, and Calafiori, he would play very well in our central defense alongside Bremer. I really hope we keep Bremer because holy shit, he's amazing. And I also think he would be adjustable to a four-man defense. But Calafiori, that's definitely one of our main targets, and I think we're going to go to lengths in order to get him. And he's not even going to be that expensive. I think maybe they're talking about what is that, the 25, 40 million or something like that. That's a good bargain in my opinion. Especially for getting someone who actually knows the system. You cannot understate that. Also, moving ahead, we have Cope Miners, and he should be pretty close at the moment. Some people are yelling a bit loudly after a more technically gifted midfielder, but I don't necessarily think that's really what we need. I believe we need a playmaker who's really good in the passing game. Rabiot, if we're gonna touch that subject, I kind of hope that he doesn't stay. Because he's a great box-to-box midfielder, but his passing game is just so or let me put it like that, it happens all too often that he sees the pass but he doesn't take it. And it's like it's maddening. However, he's good friends with Motta. And and I actually think that we may be keeping him, but if Motta he creates a system where the players are better at presenting short pass opportunities for each other, then Rabiot wouldn't be constantly placed in the situation where there aren't much movement, so he has to try and seek the killer pass, and that's not really what he's most adept at. So he could actually be a force to be reckoned with in the Motta system if he plays with his cards right. So if we have the box-to-box midfielder in Rabiot, who also brings some physical presence, of course, then Koopmeiners, he would be the shadow striker playmaker who makes the late runs in Motta's system, and he could really be an upgrade to Lewis Ferguson, who has been attending that particular role with great success. So, and also let me say that Koopmeiners, he's not a luxury player. He's a playmaker, but he's not a luxury player. He has good drive. Yeah. He started out like a box-to-box midfielder back in the day, but he's technically adept, and he has this very good vision. If we have these two players, Rabiot, Koopmeiners, then Locatelli and Fagioli, then we are pretty well set for four quality midfielders because we have a lot of games. And then, of course, we need some other rotation players, but that could be from our academy. We have Nonje, for example, whom I really adore. Fagioli's game against Monza was extremely important because he came back showed that, hey, I'm freaking ready. Yep. And I was like, I wasn't sure what kind of player we got back. He's one of my absolute favorite players, Fagioli. He has everything, but I wasn't sure that if he mentally was, ready to return to the stage, and what kind of physical form would he possess. Well, no doubt he showed that he's actually good enough to be a starter. What else? Then we have those three players. Then we have Di Lorenzo for the right back, who's leaving Napoli. He's 30 years old, so he's not a long-term replacement. But we also, in this pretty young team, we need some experienced players, and he's the one who's tried, everything. So whilst Danilo, he's not getting any younger. He's an old war horse, and he is he can compete with Bremer and Calafiori in the central defense. I think he would probably be used as a more more defensive right back. Yeah. But we need someone else out there, and Di Lorenzo fits the bill, and he's not an expensive option. Then we probably need someone else for the left back. I don't know if they're going to promote someone to act as a deputy for Cambiaso, but something is going to happen on left back too. Lastly, the offense. Yeah. I believe Vlahovic to be central for the project, and I also hear that that's how Giuntoli sees it. Yep. Then we have Yildiz, who is mind-blowingly talented, and he seems, ready. I wouldn't mind if you gave him shirt number 10 and just say, well, you're gonna be a starter in the next season. Huh? We're gonna make a trio of you and Dusan and Chiesa. I do not believe all this hocus pocus about Chiesa being sold is the same every year. Yeah. Like, oh, he doesn't fit Motta's system. Why doesn't he fit Motta's system? Oh, because he doesn't know how to defend. Okay, well, he doesn't actually need to be a defender in Motta's system. He needs to be able to manage the shifts between zonal and man marking. He has huge acceleration and drive, and he's not afraid to get stuck in. So I'd say he fits the bill pretty perfectly in that regard. So I don't know. I think maybe it was Costa Curta who said that in one of But just what the hell are you talking about, man? I know Di Marzio has also been talking about that. Chiesa has no room for. Juventus have no room for Chiesa and Motta's system. Okay, Di Marzio, you are. I don't know, but you're into guys. So okay, fair enough. Go talk nonsense if you want to. I cannot really see how Chiesa doesn't fit into this. and he's, in my opinion, reaching his pinnacle form.
Yeah.
He's been so good. Yeah, there's been a few injuries, of course, but hey, let's just face it. And the ACL, that takes time. And I believe that he's back in the game, and he's ready, and he shows his form, his unpredictability, and he also, well, he's intelligent enough to fit a new system. Hey, he's been playing center forward this year, not winger, and he's been able to adjust properly, I think. So I believe he's gonna stay, and I kind of hope Morten has indoctrinated me about CXA. I kind of hope that maybe through a few sales of some of the talents, maybe Huijsen, Solé, Illing, even though it hurts, and they're talented players, I kind of like the idea of having Vlahovic, Chiesa, and Zirkzee, and then young Yildiz as the first backup player, and then who else we're gonna? I don't know who else we're gonna have. I don't necessarily believe that we're gonna sell Illing, Solé, and all of our offensive talents. But if we have those four, it's gonna be a devastating offensive lineup. So whilst I'm not pretty sure, I do believe that Cope Miners, Calafiori, and Gregorio, those three are the main targets. But I think also that Giuntoli is working on Zirkzee.
Yeah, you have the backbone in the team. Then you have a goalie, you have a defender, you have a midfielder, and then an attacker. New for Thiago Motta's football. I just want your opinion last on the preliminary squad for Italy to the Euros. You see Locatelli's out and Fagioli is in, who haven't played all season. What's your thoughts?
I believe that it's not unwise to bring Fagioli. It's a gamble, but it's not unwise. And he showed in the Monza game that, well, hey, he can play.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is why you bring. I can't even recall his name. The guy who scored with Scorcher for Verona against us, the young midfield talent.
Yeah.
Something with an F. And it's not. I'm not neglecting his talent. It's not that. But him and Ricky, none of these guys are on any of the larger clubs' radar. Okay, there are talented players, but they're not that talented. You bring those two. You bring El Shaarawy, who hasn't played, well, neither good nor continually. And then you leave off Locatelli, who, okay, he hasn't had a great season, but Juventus hasn't had a great season.
Yeah.
But he's been extremely reliable defensively. And he's always, working hard. And I believe that Locatelli can become a key player in any system that has movement around him. Try being a deep lying playmaker without any movement around you, where you leave all the initiative to the entire team, almost no matter who you face. You're never gonna excel as a playmaker, deep lying playmaker in that regard. So I do not understand Spalletti. What what's his game here? What's that's all about? I gotta admit that was a huge shock for me.
Yeah.
And it was also a huge shock for Locatelli. You can see with the black screen on Instagram and all that. It's completely illogical. Also because he won the bloody European Championship, and he was maybe not a starter in all the games, but he was still a key player. He had such a great round there. So yeah, that I'm never gonna understand. But respect for Spalletti, he's a great coach. We all know that. I like him. But this position, it completely confounds me.
What you're more eager about, the Euros or the Calcio Mercato for Juventus and the new season?
No doubt the Calcio Mercato and the new season for Juve. Maybe I'm gonna watch some Euros, of course. Yeah, but I cannot. I cannot overstate how much I'm looking forward to these new beginnings. And we finally have a sporting director who's really going to focus on a concept-based transfer strategy. Paul has said it many times that instead of looking for bargains on the mercato, which Motta was already good at, well, instead of looking at bargains, who can we get cheap? Well, you need to look for what kind of players do we actually need for the system? Who can excel? And you can use the approach of Motta when you have a solid structure, and you just need to fill the gaps. But here you need to build something, right? You need to build something from the ground and up, right? So in that way, you cannot waste euros on players who might make it, who might fit in, who need to be widely adjusted, because it's expensive and it's time consuming and it's unsure of there's a low there's a low success rate, I believe, and that's like that's something we've seen during the last couple of years. So I'm so excited, and I'm really hoping that Giuntoli and the new coach, whomever it may be, are gonna be very close to each other in the decision process. But I'm pretty sure that's what we're gonna see.
And I feel that was a good end of the podcast, and I want to thank you a lot for this, and I get a more broader perspective of the legal matters. So it's been great talking to you about this.
Of course, you can always you can only touch so many subjects during 1 hour. So if you need to really go in depth of the legal proceedings, then I suggest you look it up on the internet, especially regarding Calciopoli, because it's not really hard to find. So yeah. But thank you so much for having me, Frederick, and it's been a pleasure. And you can always look me up.
Yeah, exactly. And I do the fourth member of the Juventus Denmark, and you gave me a name, so I can pick up a fifth person from the podcast. So more international episodes. So it's been great talking to you, and a lot of thanks.
Sure, and thank you. Have a nice evening.
You too. Ciao.
Ciao.